experience for the field trip. I know Mr. Francis will have one or two things to say and others that were at the field trip. Mr. Francis.
The content don't play the into one notification tank.
Mr. Tosin.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, do you have anything to say?
Yes. It was first and foremost the awesome field trip with Mr. Emmanuel and the class. He's happy to see us physically one-on-one. So we saw we started with the plumbing side. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. Yeah, so we know that, okay, my takeaway or what I know is the water directly from the borehole straight to the tank before going to the filtration tank. But what I wanted to say is that the filtration tank, the content in it is dependent on the sample of water from the borehole, all right, taken to the lab. So that will tell us what will be required to be in the filtration tank to filtering the water. Then another thing is after we checked in all the houses, that's the duplex. We saw quite a number of things or defects rather, like a snag. So what the facilitator advised for us as a team of facility managers is sometimes we can invite, because you are used to your facility, so there are some things that you will not see, that needs to be attended to. So that we should keep as an relationship together as a professional, okay, that can give a professional advice or recommendation or some things, having one or two people check into your facility, once in a while, to see what you are not able to see. It's not that you can't see, but you are so familiar with the environment, that you might not be able to see some things. And so far, it's an awesome one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was quite helpful. So, Mr. Daniel, good evening, sir. Hello, Mr. Daniel. Sir, we can't hear you. Okay, I think any time we're waiting for Mr. Daniel to come up. Mr. Anthony.
Yeah, good afternoon, class.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. You're welcome.
Yeah. First of all, I would like
Sir, you're muted, Mr. Anthony.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You're audible right now.
Okay. So I really want to thank her for giving us a facility to be used on that day. And secondly, I will want to thank Mr. Emmanuel also, and also thank the team too. Well, it was a great one last week, Saturday. Very great one. We want to, those things we have talked about in the class, we had to see it practically on that day. So like the other caller, the other person said, we started from the borehole, where we, have to look at the way the process goes before the final use of the water, which is from the borehole, direct to the aeration tank, which is the raw water tank. Then from the raw water tank, goes through filtration before getting into the clean tank, then before it's transferred for use. The process was a nice one, and we saw the dosing chemicals, the dosing pump, which is used to dose chemicals into the water. Then also the system, of the pumps, how the pump works from pumping from the into the aeration tank, then from there pumping through to the clean water tank. And also we went to the building where we were, told on some certain things, from the angle valve that's at the back. That's if you have any work to do, for example, in the guest toilet, you don't have to lock the whole building before you can now do whatever you want to do. There's an angle valve that you're supposed to lock at the back of the building. Then before you can do whatever you want to do in the main building, in the guest toilet, then you can now open back. They went in, saw the, hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
hello?
Yeah, audible, can hear you.
Hello?
Mr.
I'm audible, okay. So then we are now to, hello?
You can go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
Okay. So where we are now told about the bottle trap in the kitchen, how you have to, if you want to clean it, what you are meant to do if there is a blockage. Then we also went into the BQ where we discussed about the flushing system, so many other things. It was a good one, and an eye opener more, into the plumbing system. Really want to thank the team. May God continue to strengthen you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Anthony, for that. Mr. Daniel, so can you? Mr. Daniel. Okay, let's move to the host. Madam MM. Okay, Yusuf Razak, good evening. Hello, can you hear me? Mr. Francis.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, good evening, sir. Mr. Francis, are you there? Mr. Francis, we can't hear you.
Good afternoon. Like I said, I'm having a bit of network issue. The network is very bad. I don't understand why today.
Okay.
Yes. So, but can you hear me now?
Yes, you're audible right now. Hey.
Oh, okay. So I said, first off, let me put up my video. Maybe it will be better. So first off, I will appreciate the Max-Migold team for organizing the field trip. And in my own head, like I told some of my friends that I think I would prefer that I would do more field trips than even the class itself, because it exposes us to the practical practice of what we are being taught, you understand? And I want to say thank you to too. She was a wonderful person. She attended to us very well. And she has a great facility there. She can grow very great from that place, like we discussed with myself and Mr. Daniel and Mr. Awe while we were going back home. She can actually grow very well there. So then my thanks again goes to the facilitator. It was nice seeing him physically after like 3 or 4 classes online. He was such a good facilitator. He took his time to show us what we should know actually, not just the theory part, but the physical, practical one. Like for me, I got to understand the process from ball, digging the ball, putting the machine, using all the necessary equipment, gave us all the parameters to check when we are doing our balls, and the process of treatment, even to the end user. So it was a good one. And the generator part, where I wasn't really paying attention at that point because all my main focus was on ball, because I believe that is more important for me. Because when you talk about health, it's the basic thing that you have to.
I think your line is breaking. Your line is
You
breaking.
have good health. You are there is 24 hours like that. There's no point having you. Doesn't mean that like, that's what I just okay.
Okay, Mr. Francis, thank you for that. I think your network is poor. So, yeah. Mother MM, good evening, ma'am.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yeah, thank you for hosting us on Saturday.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for coming too.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. Okay, so our facilitator is around, so take it from here. Mr. Johnson, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
You're welcome, sir.
So I wasn't really, I had other things that I was doing and I totally lost track of time. I thought it was still 3 o'clock or thereabouts. So apologies for coming late. So what I'll do is to try to be, to try to cover as much as possible within the limited time that we have. And try to get you guys to understand why technology is actually important. when looking for a technology, what you should be looking out for, basically. So, a quick introduction. My name is Johnson Owe. I'm the co-founder and the CEO of CSF Solutions. We are the developer of Instanta. So Instanta is a facility management software, not just facility management, it's for physical asset management as a whole, both facility fleet and any equipment. So that's what Instanta is. And a need for technology on basically. And I'll try to be general as much as possible, not to make it seem as if I'm here to preach Instanta to you guys. But of course, it's what I have that I can use to explain these things to you. But I'll try to make this as general and as possible. And so there will be three parts to this. The first one is going to be uh, technology, right? So you just understand if you're having any of those challenges, maybe it's time for you to actually implement technology in your workplace or in your facilities management activities. Then the second phase, we are going to be looking at the futures of facilities that you should be looking out for in the facility management software or while procuring technology for facilities management. We're going to be looking at the general futures, the ones that are basically popular around this part of the world, right? Because, of course, we're in Africa. And the last part is going to be like a mini demonstration, not more than 5 to 10 minutes, for you to just see a typical facility management software interface and how the assets are structured, the things you can see in this application, and for you to just have an idea of let's say 45 minutes. I'm going to be pretty fast because I've already wasted you guys' time. I'm going to be pretty fast and make sure that we cover everything within 30 to 45 minutes, and the other 15 minutes will be used for Q&A. So if you have any question while we go through this, just note them down. And after each of the sections, you can ask some questions. So you're going to have like three opportunities to ask questions after each of the sessions. So again, I'm very sorry for coming in really late, and I hope you guys will accept my apologies, and I hope I'll be able to make it up to you guys. So let's dive straight into it. So I'm going to be sharing my screen now. Okay, can you all still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay, good, good. So let's proceed. So uh, a facility management software should act like a tool for you to be able to track the maintenance, the usage, and the location of your physical assets. Of the built environment, which is the buildings that you have your facilities in, and also the equipment in those facilities. That's what a facility management software should have. So it should be primarily to track the utilization of that particular space, to track the maintenance of that space, and finally to track the locations of the assets within that particular space. So when I mean utilization, not just the building itself, but also the assets in those buildings. So that's what a facility management should do. That's what a facility management software should actually. So it should be like a walkthrough for your for your activities. You know, all the activities that you perform as a facilities manager should go through a facility management software, and it should be robust enough to actually take care of all your activities, to automate all those activities or to digitalize those activities. So that's what a facilities management software should actually do for you. And so this first slide is just to walk you through the challenges that facility managers face in the industry in terms of carrying out their daily activities, and how it affects their job. You know, how the problem that it leads to, and you know, that justifies the need to actually have a facility management software in the first place. So, you know, generally, when I meet with facility managers um, in the industry, the first thing I see in their faces for most of them is stress, right? They are always stressed up, and especially for people that works in integrated facility management environment, or even in organizations where they have large locations, you know, diverse locations, like facility managers in a workplace like a university, for example, like Babcock or any university, Covenant universities and the rest, or facility managers in a banking or financial environment, right? Or even in integrated work, like places where their main function is core facility management, e.g., people like Alphamid, UPDC, and some other facility management companies around. So they are always very stressed, right? And this is because their job is actually very challenging and chaotic. It involves lots and lots of activities that you can see on the screen at the moment. You know, and this is just a snippet of what a facility manager is meant to do within the organization. So basically, it's like all the ad hoc activities are actually pushed to facilities manager. In fact, in some companies, it's not uncommon to see facility managers to also be in charge of fleet management, in charge of managing drivers, managing the fleet of vehicles that the organizations have. You know, they have, apart from the core facility management activities, you know, the HVAC, the electricals, the resource management, you know, and a whole lot of things, energy management, and uh, lots and lots of activities that they are involved in. And also facility management involve lots of other processes, you know, like you know, preventive maintenances, service requests that's coming in. You have to organize and manage all those service requests coming in from different part of the facility. Work orders, quotations, vendor management, technicians management, purchase orders, because you have to arrange quotations, vendors and purchases, inventory. If you have stock of materials, sometimes it's the facility manager that also in charge of inventory management, scheduling of activities, budgeting, and expense tracking. These are some of the activities that facility managers are actually tasked with every day, you know, to carry out. But what we realize is that most of these organizations, they don't. Most of these enterprise where these facility managers work for, still relies mainly on manual processes like using papers, docs, Excel, email, pen and paper, you know, for their facility management operations. Despite the fact that the facility management processes and activities are so diverse and so crazy, you know, are so cumbersome. Yet, most organizations still refuse, even to this point, to actually automate the facility management, their facility management processes. And for some large organizations that we know, and this is mainly in Africa, though, for large organizations that we've also seen, like the likes of let's say some FMCGs, right, that are really really big. They what they do is that they try to force the facility managers to use the existing tools, you know, like ERPs, like Sage, SAPs. You know, the ERPs they've actually deployed for their production purposes, or for the enterprise wide accounting, HR, procurement, and some other activities, even production activities within the organization. So what they do is they get the facilities management department to use these tools, because these tools are sold as all encompassing. That means they can do everything. They are the alpha and omega of everything, but it's actually a lie. Basically, they can't do everything. So they try to push the facility managers to use these tools for their facility management activities. And the fact is that for these tools to actually do the job of facilities or physical asset tracking and maintenance and tracking utilizations effectively, they will have to the organization will have to spend so much money in terms of customizing and customizing these tools and building new interfaces into these ERPs for you to actually be user friendly enough and to carry out the activities of facilities management. And most of these tools are not even readily available remotely or on mobile. And the job of your facility manager doesn't actually stop at the office. In fact, most of the activities are actually performed on the move. When you go out to visit your site or to do oversight functions, trying to know what the vendor is doing here and there to supervise the activities. And so most times these facility managers lose the access to their information or to their data when they are outside the office, right? And this is also a big problem for them at the moment because while using these ERPs, and therefore most of them still return back to using spreadsheet and pen and paper because most of these companies will not even spend the money that will be required to customize this application, which will run into hundreds of thousands of dollars to customize these ERPs to actually fit the purpose of facilities management. And therefore they are not really well suited for the activities, and therefore most of these facility managers still end up keeping their data on an Excel sheet or keeping records on Excel and also receiving requests via email and all those manual processes. So these activities most likely lead to different pain points, like these manual activities using pen, paper, Excel, Word documents. Leads to several pain points, which is the reason why, which is the problem associated with manual processes. And as I'm going to go through this, you can just relate this to your organization and see if you're actually suffering from any of these um, pain points at the moment. And you can also share some of these things with us in the Q&A part of this session. So the first pain point is that most of the planning and tracking of routine activities and jobs and requests that are coming in to facility managers, if you are still manual, it's going to be done on spreadsheet. So you are going to have maybe like a spreadsheet or your email that you use to track all the activity, all the preventive maintenance. Most times it's actually done on spreadsheet or physical paper where you write in all the jobs that you're currently carrying out or the ones that you're going to carry out in the next few weeks, or even routine maintenances and services like servicing of ACs, of generator, of lift, of your electrical materials. Those activities that you carry out periodically, and most of them are you are going to be using maybe Google Docs or Excel or something, a spreadsheet for these activities. And most of these tools right out of the box does not support automated reminders, and therefore there is possibility that you are not going to be receiving reminders or notifications for you to know that this activity is due, should follow up on this, you should do this and that. And at the end of the day, you facility managers end up missing maintenance schedules, so it leads to missed maintenance schedules. Of course, when you miss your maintenance schedules, e.g., you are meant to service an AC at a particular period of time, or you are meant to do maintenance on a particular asset, and you forgot to do this maintenance. Most times, it leads to forgotten issues and frequent and costly service failures. So I use a vehicle as an example, though we're not in a fleet management class, but if you forgot to service your vehicle and you decide to drive from here to Onisha, and the vehicle is already due for servicing, but you forgot to service it, and you now drove from Lagos to Onitsha and so from, right? There's a probability that by the time you're going to get back, that vehicle will most likely develop a very costly service failure, right? That you have to spend so much money on, right? And so this is also related to several other assets too, like ACs, like generators, like the lifts that you have and other equipment. So if you don't service your firefighting equipment regularly, the day that there's going to be fire, this equipment might fail and might not work, right? So it's really important that these things that this routine maintenance is actually carried out. as at when due. So if you don't carry it out, then it leads to costly service failure. It leads to which is as a result of forgotten issues, and therefore this leads to end users frustration and increasing operational costs, which impacts the bottom line. So if there are more service failure, then the users that are meant to be consuming these services most likely are going to be disgruntled or be angry or be frustrated. And also the cost of also repairs, or damages that came from these failures is also can also be very, very high, which can increase your bottom line, which can impact your bottom line rather, or increase your operational cost. And the other pain point is that you know, generally we notice that facility managers find it very difficult to track the maintenance history and costs as against their budgets. So you have ACs, you have assets that are dispersed that are in different locations, and generally you should be tracking the maintenance history and the expenses on all these assets, on all these facilities, on all these locations, on all these categories of jobs, as against the budget that you have for those categories of jobs, right? Or for those locations. And your inability to be able to track this effectively using your Excel, because it's not common for us sometimes to ask for the maintenance history of a particular asset. A manager will just ask for the maintenance history of an asset that is somewhere, and it takes days before the facility manager could actually provide it. And sometimes you may need this information to make some simple decisions like asset disposal decisions, or to know if you're going to retain this asset or dispose of this asset, or as simply as knowing the last time you replace a particular asset on this. Sorry, the last time you replaced a particular spare part on that particular asset. So maintenance history and expenses, having access to this information, it's really key for decision making. It's really key for a facility manager. But because most of the activities are actually manual, they end up keeping all this information in different forms, in a spreadsheet, in Word document, in some of them are even stuck in emails, used for approvals and spotting budget overrun. So you'll just be spending money on a particular location, and it's difficult for you to track if you are to track if you are still within budget, for that particular location, for that particular asset type. And this is really this is a big problem for some organizations that we work for. I met with in one of the financial institutions in Nigeria, and he said my number one headache is to be able to track my expenses or as against the budget, right, across all the branches that we have in Nigeria. That it's really, really, really difficult. And because they keep all this information in different forms, like in Excel and all those things, it's really difficult for us to track that details. So another problem that this can also lead to is expensive and recurring problem. You won't be able to spot expensive and recurring problem. So for example, you have an AC somewhere. Let's assume you manage up to like 100 to 300 ACs, right? And you have a particular AC somewhere within your facility, and someone keeps replacing the compressor in that particular AC, right? You may keep doing this like forever, like within a year, they can replace the compressor like 3 times, and you won't even spot that particular problem. Generally, if you keep replacing the compressor, which is the most expensive part of an AC, then there should be a reason for it. Most likely, it could be fraud, or it could be maybe there's an underlying problem that is causing that compressor to get broken. But if you can't spot that problem, you won't be able to investigate the root cause further and to be able to solve this problem. So these are some of the issues you have when you don't have access to this data, or when you keep this data manually. And of course, this limits management's ability to control costs by taking proactive actions to identify and block leakages. So most times people end up with budget overruns, and they can't even justify why there is increase in their expenses, as against what they actually budgeted beginning of the year. And it also can lead to issues with, if you don't have, you can only control what you can see. You can only improve what you can see. So if you don't have visibility into leakages that are actually happening within your facility, the organization, then you won't be able to block those leakages and to be able to save costs generally. So most times it's like you're just wasting money. The third pain point. So the third pain point is that we also notice that most personnel, like I already said, personnel like facility managers, most of their work are actually done away from their desk, right? And it should be actually be done away from their desks. But most time they don't have access to work related information remotely. That they need to make good decisions. Decisions like should this asset be disposed? Should this asset be maintained? When was the last time we replaced the compressor on this particular AC? When was the last time we serviced this AC? You know, those information are really, really key in carrying out your activities. To know the performance of a particular vendor, to know, the history of a particular vendor, of a particular technician, of a particular asset. Those information are actually key for you to make day-to-day decisions. On the move, and we also notice that most personnel also spend so much time on redundant and manual activities, creating requisitions, following up on jobs that they've given out to vendors, documentations, reporting, and even searching for information that they actually need to do their job. So you ended up following up with accounts, following up with procurement, following up with inventory, following up with vendors, following up with technicians. As in the follow-ups are just crazy. And you do this many via emails, via phone calls, via and you end up generating lots of documentations like quotations, POs, job completion certificates, and lots of things that you have to create and generate manually, which takes up like over 30% of your time, of your very, very, very valuable time. So this is another key problem that facility managers have. And this time that you spent on doing all these activities can actually be spent on other more important activities, and like making sure that the vendors do their job on time, and making sure that the services that are being rendered are of top notch, of high quality. And this most time leads to high turnaround time. When you spend most of your time on documenting and following up, at the end of the day, what time would you actually have to make sure that jobs are actually done or attended to at the right time and done properly? Then it also leads to poor team communication, right? So if you don't, if you have to do everything manually, it will get to a point that documentation that you have to do, reporting you have to do here and there, emailing, you spend most of the time on emailing. At the end of the day, there will be poor team communication, there will be not adequate communication that can really help in terms of general team performance within the organization. And of course, this can lead to unsatisfactory team performance and end user dissatisfaction. So I use this simple example. If you have if I'm a staff in your organization and you are my facility manager, and I saw you on the staircase or in the lift, and I told you I have a bad AC, my AC is not working, and it has stopped cooling like 2 weeks ago. But though I'm just informing you now, but it has stopped cooling like 2 weeks ago. And you acknowledge not you acknowledge that, and you said you're going to look into it. And I went back to my office, and maybe something happened again within that same hour. Let's say a generator the generator stopped working within the facility, which is now the primary generator, which is now a more urgent problem. So you end up attending to that, and you totally forgot about the request I just laid out, or I just made known to you. And so you totally forgot. And after 2 or 3 days, I have to call you again to remind you. You just say, "Oh, sorry, I forgot about that. Let me now get a technician to call me." And then the technician came in, right, and said he has evaluated the problem, that he would come back to fix the problem. That he has to go back to his team. Then apparently the technician needs some things from inventory to fix the job, but he didn't even tell you or inform you about any of these things, and he disappeared again for another 2 days. Generally, my feeling about the facility management department will be like, what are these people even doing? As in, how these people are totally useless. Why? I've been complaining about this thing for days, and I have to even remind them. And this is not uncommon in most organizations. But just imagine if there is if I have a portal to actually report that issue, and let's say it's really counting on that and I can actually monitor the status of that job, right, and know everything that is happening on it. And the facility manager from his own side too can easily send me notification via that platform, and the platform can even send reminders to him when he forgets things. And I can see the technician assigned to it. I can see who is actually delaying the job. Maybe the inventory has to release a material for the job. I have more peace of mind. I know something is actually happening on my job, and I'll be less disgruntled or less frustrated on the whole issue, compared to when I don't even know what is happening at all. And this is why most facility management team in most organizations are being termed as low performing. They just we've heard several times that are used for them, like these people are not serious. These people doesn't even know what they are doing. Is it not just to fix this thing? Why is it taking so long? And they don't really know what you guys go through on a day-to-day basis. So this is the talking point. The last one, so that we can go into the maybe Q&A or maybe some comments on this, is a lack of centralized system for documenting and tracking and reporting issues. So you have most times when you keep all your information in cabinets, in spreadsheets, in Excel, in pen and in papers and all those things, each department may end up keeping their own documents separately. So there may not be a central repository for all this information. Like I said, in some organizations, even very large organizations, sometimes we go in there and ask them, how many vehicles do you have? They don't even have one single answer. How many ACs do you have? There's no single answer. You go to the procurement team, they give you a number. They can say, okay, we have like 150 ACs. We'll go to the facility management team. They say they have 160 ACs. Apparently, the procurement team, and you go to account department, so they give you a separate number, because information are actually kept in silos. Each department keeps their own information and do their own thing without proper knowledge, information sharing within the organization. And this is what what data silo means. And of course, this gives you, if you don't actually know the number of assets you have, how do you want to make decisions on maybe asset procurement or asset disposal? You can't even searching for simple information or even generating reports. You can't even depend on those reports because you're not even sure if they're accurate. Because if you are going to get the amount of money you spent on a particular asset within a period of time or in its life cycle, if you check two different departments like procurement and also facility management or even finance, you're going to get three different answers. So how do you rely on those information for your decision making? Which of those information or data are you going to rely on for your decision making, or for management decision making? So this is a big challenge within organizations where they still have manual processes, and of course this impacts the quality of decision making that are made by management. So, like I already showed in the presentation, this often leads to end user frustration and customer frustration, like I already told you in several instances, and it can also lead to budget overrun and increasing operational costs. It can lead to low productivity and also unsatisfactory team performance within the facility management department, and also poor decision making by management because they don't have the accurate data or good data to make these decisions. So, so what I want to just tell you here is that there's a better way, right? And that is automating your facility management processes using technology, right? So we're going to be looking at these features next, but if you have any questions, you can quickly ask me on this particular thing, or if you have comments, you can quickly share your comment before we go straight into the next presentation. The floor is open now, or you can also type those questions. I'm going to take them. Any comment, any questions from anyone, or let me confirm again. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir. I have a comment. I have a comment.
Okay.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, I think your the first half of your lecture actually described my experience in facility maintenance.
Okay.
I transited from safety to facility maintenance, and I was overwhelmed. In fact, for the first 1 year doing facility maintenance, I lost so much weight that it was obvious. All right, so, but Like you said, we have an enterprise resource program, which is a Microsoft Nav Vision. So what I try to do is to engage the ERP team and a BITC group of people to begin to do some customization for me. And I tell you the truth, it wasn't really easy for them, because first and foremost, you need to even understand the process, how the work flows, and before you even talk of customizing to suit that particular application. So you very much mirror my experience. It's even right now as I speak with you, even I was able to, before I was redeployed, I was able to initiate an automated facility maintenance request. But even that, people are not really using it as much as expected. So we are still relying so much on email and other forms of receiving requests and tracking.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your comment. Though very funny, but of course, that's exactly what is happening in most organizations in Nigeria. Who else has a comment, please, before we move to the next class, to the next session? Any other comments? Or if you also want to share your experience for others to learn, we learn from each other's experience. If you are also, if this also speaks to you at the moment, you can also quickly share this before we move on, so that others can also learn from this. Okay, all right. So let's continue then, because of time. So let me share my other screen. Okay, so I'll just go straight to the things that you should have. Can you see my screen now? The new screen. Please, can somebody
Yes,
confirm you
sir.
can see my new screen?
We can see your
Yes.
Where you
screen.
have
Can see your
all
screen.
right, great. So the next phase of this presentation is or discussion is about the features you should look out for in the facility management solution. Right. Right. So we're going to first start with the um, basic. How can I call it now? Before we look at features, we have to first look at the components that you have to really look out for, or the things, the technology. You guys are not IT savvy, as in you are not. You may be IT savvy, but you are not a core IT person. When it give you idea of not really. I won't be training you on IT here, but I will just be giving you some IT terms or some IT terminologies or component that you should be looking out for in why buying a facility management software, why searching for one, or why trying to implement one. Number one, any solution you're going to go for must have both components for web and mobile, right? So some components of it for very large facility management software, all the features may not be on the mobile app because of the size. Like it could be really huge, but some commonly used features like work order, rating work orders, changing status of work orders, creating work requests, submitting work requests, viewing your work orders, and viewing vendors quotations. Some things that you do like often should be on the mobile app. And you should also have like a mobile component for your end users to submit requests to you also on the move. So you should be looking for an application that is web-based, number one, web-based, and also mobile. When I mean web-based, it's not something that they develop that you can only access within your office. That's why you find that you're using a browser for it. So it should be cloud-based. That means something that is available over the internet. So anywhere you are in the world, you can have access to this and still do your work, assign jobs, and see requests that have been submitted, and do a lot of things. Still relate with vendors and everything. At the comfort of your home, on the move, on the site, at the office, it should be available, right? So that's one thing. Anywhere you go to, it should be accessible. and it should have both web and mobile components. That's number one. Number two, it should be user friendly, right? It should be very, 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 very easy to use. In fact, it should mirror the way you work, right? If it doesn't mirror the way you work, and they tell you that you're going to customize between it may not really be worth your time and the stress. So that's another thing you have to look out for. And yeah, the system should still be very customizable too, right? So for configurations here and there, your workflow to be able to fit into your workflow, and you need a system that is customizable. And it should also be able to integrate with your existing system. So your existing accounting system, your ERPs, your procurement system, if you already have one in-house, it should be able to integrate with all these systems that you have in-house. Then it should be, you should also need to look at the user support. I will advise you, it's better you patronize a system that is actually built in Nigeria or in Africa as well, because for the foreign ones, support may be a big deal, right? Because it's not common for you to want to do, like there was a system we want to integrate with not quite long ago, and the guys that are the providers, are, they have a provider in Nigeria that does a presentation for them, but the company is actually a South African company whose developers are in India. So anytime there, for us to get a simple answer to, do you have API for us to integrate? We send via emails were sent, and with different answers that doesn't even fit the question that we asked in the first place. Because sometimes you have to even translate this across different languages for you to even get an answer to your question. So most times, if you can deal directly with the developers and get your ideas or get your requirements straight to them, it's a big plus, right? Because support is really key. And we've seen organizations where they've tried to implement a solution, but they've already made payment and made commitments. But because it wasn't working as they expected, they will now spend so much money again in terms of in bringing down the expatriates from maybe Europe, from US, from India, to come down to come help them with the implementation locally in Nigeria. This is not uncommon, right? And this costs so much money, so much headache, right? So if you can just get something already local that the guys are already here to help you out, it's a big boost and a big plus. Then security too is really important. If it's going to be deployed in the cloud, you have to be sure that it's deployed in a very stable cloud environment, maybe like Amazon Web Service on Microsoft Azure, platform, and some of those very reliable platforms out there. And of course, the system must also take security really seriously, like things like role-based user management should be in place, encryption and some other things that make sure that people don't have access to your data, and also people that don't should not have access to a functionality or to a feature or to an information doesn't have access to it. So these are the key things that you should really look at while trying to procure a facility management solution. Then also the experience within your community too is also important. So let's look at the features. I'll just go straight to the modules. So the modules you should be looking out for. Number one, you should be looking out for work management module, which takes care of your service decks and from of your work order management, preventive maintenance, and anything that has to do with the work that has been done. Vendor and technician management should be also important to you. Asset management, procurement and inventory management, space booking or an element of space management will be key. Visitors management, if it's going to be useful to you, you can also look at that. Then power and service charge for those people that are into core facilities management and services. Power and service charge module will also be important. Then for some people to property lease management could also be key to them. And of course, the mobile app, like I already said, you should have an application that allows you to access your information on the go. So let's look at some of these features quickly within the next, let's say, 10 minutes. Let's hope I'll be able to cover this within the 10 minutes. Number one, you should have features for work requests. So it's like your help desk system where your staff can actually, or your end users can submit a service request directly to you, right? Like it's like a service desk interface, and they can also in turn monitor the status of their job, track the status of their request, and receive notification when these jobs are completed, to be able to also rate the performance of this job and even reopen the job if they are not happy. This is really important. So the service decks or the help decks or the work requests, they call it several names. So that's it's important to have this. Then we have the work order management, which is the jobs that you are actually doing that has been approved for you to do, to work on. So it should have an interface for you to create maintenance jobs, to track resolution time for those jobs, to be able to see the maintenance history of your jobs, and even generate reports per location, per asset, per month, per year, per vendor, per technician. To be able to generate different types of reports from this. And we have the service level management, which allows you to set to configure service levels or due dates, or timelines for different categories of jobs, and for you to also track the compliance to those jobs. So most times when you have a vendor, you sign SLAs or like SLA, there are SLA terms in their agreement with you, and these terms you should have a system that allows you to configure them and be able to track their compliance to those SLAs. Then it should allow you there should be something that can easily track your budget and track your budget performance. How much money are you spending? What percentage of your budget have you actually expended this time? And what do you have left? And you can also put in controls in place in case you hit maybe a particular budget threshold for you to start receiving, maybe somebody to receive notifications, or maybe special approval has to be given for additional expense on that particular location or job category or asset. Feedback and rating is also important for your end user to be able to provide you real-time feedback after jobs have been completed, and also to even be able to rate the performance of jobs, and also to even reopen jobs if they are not happy. And preventive maintenances, for you to be able to link your asset to different preventive maintenance plans as advised by the OEM, and also to configure service frequencies and a whole lot of things, and for you to receive alerts when these preventive maintenances or routine jobs actually due. And this is really important to also have. So for vendor management, you want to have a central vendor database and to be able to also easily evaluate the performance of your vendors based on their compliance to SLAs or timelines, based on the satisfaction rating from your end users, and also the frequency of repeated jobs. Like if jobs are if your job is, if you assign like 10 jobs to a vendor within a period of time, and 5 of those jobs are sent back, are returned back to the vendor to redo because they didn't do it properly at first, then you know that that vendor is not doing a good job. That's like 50% return job rate. So you should be able to have a system that can automate all these things for you. Vendor and payment requisition. So most time when you want to pay vendors, you should be able to automate all these activities in terms of creating vendor payment requisitions, generating job completion forms for vendors, and also creating like a payment requisition that goes straight to account department for them for the vendors to get paid. Basically, all these things should be automated or even integrated into your accounting system for you to get. So you don't have to be doing these things manually again. Generate all these POs, all these documents, quotations, job completion forms. You don't have to be doing them manually again. Then we have the quotation management interface, where you can use to create vendor quotations and requests for vendors quotations, right? And the vendors can now, please give me a moment. Okay, so sorry about that interruption. So you should be able to create and send out vendor requests for quotations, and when the vendor receives it, too, they should also be able to send their quotations to you electronically. When I'm not even saying via email now, be able to input their quotation directly into the application, right? For you to also see at the front end. If they send it to you via email, you have to still document it somewhere, which is also the waste of time that we're talking about. on manual activities. So the system should allow should have a vendor interface for them to actually put in their vendor their responses to the RFQ, right? Their quotes, and for you to be able to analyze all these codes, pick the preferred vendor, and the system to automatically send POs to the selected vendor after approval, and also send rejection notifications to the vendors that were rejected. So this is really important. Then other features you should be looking out for assets and inventory management or modules. So this is you should have a central asset register which contains all the information about your asset, their locations, their serial number, tag number, the model, the specifications, every information that has to do with a particular asset. So you should have like a central database for that. And also to be able to see the maintenance history of all your assets and create maintenances for your asset. You should have an interface for asset depreciation. So you should be able to track your asset performance and their depreciation. So what's the useful life left for this particular asset? What's the salvage value? What's the current value of the asset? When should we dispose of this asset? And what's the salvage value that we're going to dispose it of at? And also performance things like mean time before failure, MTTR, TTFF. Some of these engineering terms that you use. This time to be able to generate some of these things for you automatically. Then you should have inventory control to where inventory is linked directly to the work that you perform, so that when you from a work order you pick things from a particular from a store, you should automatically deduct from the number that you have in store. So you should have inventory control in place, and when you procure into store, it increases what you have in the store. So there should be inventory in place, and also you should have reorder levels where you can receive notification when you are running low on a particular asset type or on a particular consumables in the store. Then you should have a means to also transfer assets or items from one location to another location, from store to store, from location to location, from facility to facility. You should have a way to do all those transfers and track the transfer histories for different types of assets or consumables. Procurement is pretty simple. You should have a procurement module where you can do your purchase requests. People can submit purchase requests for items. You can create quotations like I already explained earlier, RFQs, receive their quotations from vendor, then good receipts notes to receive those items into store or receive it into your facilities. And of course, purchase orders for you to generate purchase orders when a particular vendor is selected to do job. So you should have all these things. Then a central supplier register where you can track your vendors, all your suppliers' information, their performance over time, the categories of jobs that they do for you, or supplies that they do for you, and all those informations around them. Then space booking and visitors management, you should have like things like a way for you to book for facilities. So I know there are common areas that are shared by different people within the organization, like meeting rooms, so for such common areas, you would like to create like a booking system where people can book for those spaces, right? And be able to tie them down for that period that they are booking it for. And for if anybody that wants to book for that same space, they can see available time slot that space will be available and be able to also book for that. So this allows you to avoid clashes, and to control these bookings better, and even to generate utilization, how well those particular bookable spaces are being utilized. To know if you turn, for example, if you have like 4 meeting rooms, and based on the utilization of those meeting rooms, they are not even fully utilized. You can decide to turn one of them to an office, to an office space, right? But if you are getting 100% utilization, like on the 2 meeting rooms that you have, you may decide to create more meeting rooms. So this information are really critical. Then you have a visitors pass, which allows you to create like a visitors pass from your mobile phone or from your laptop. If you're expecting a visitor, so you create like a visitors pass, which is delivered electronically to your visitor, and prior to their visit to the facility. And when they get to the facility, they can use this pass to gain entrance into the facility, and also you receive a notification that your visitor has arrived. So it's like automating, that electronic, that manual gate pass visitors log that people feel. I know most organizations still have this. It's Let me just say it's practically useless. But when you digitize this, you can start doing a whole lot of things. You can see when somebody is coming in to see the last time he came into the facility, who did they come to visit, how many times has he visited the facility. You can do a lot of things as in with that data. All right, then power and service charge module. We're almost at the end of this. We have the service charge setting. So basically, this allows you, for people that are still that don't do power vending at the moment, that controls power within their facility. And they want to bill their occupants for those power that they give them. But they don't have a prepaid means of doing that, like power vending. We can give you a system that can allow you. You should have a system that can allow you to calculate the consumption for each of the amount with respect to the consumption for each of the apartments, right? And for you to deliver the invoice to them electronically and for them to actually make payment to you. Same for service charge. Service charge based on per square meter or based on the size of the maybe a 2-bedroom flat or the nomenclature of your particular building, 2-bedroom flat, 3-bedroom flat. You can get you can deliver bills to them and people pay. And you can also do reconciliation at the end of the maybe period, month or year to know out of the deposit how much have you actually consumed, what is left, and you even roll over that particular charge to another year. Basically, this is what power service charge does. Then we have the property lease management, basically to track all your leases. In fact, we see big organizations these days that have lots of branches. They don't own all the facilities that they're operating. Some of those facilities are actually leased from other people, and they also have facilities that they also lease out to other organizations. So you can use this, and this sometimes still fall on the facility managers to track. So if you're in that if that's your case, then you will need a lease management system to help you track your lease expirations, to receive notification when a lease is about to expire, and also to track your payments, your invoices, and all those things around the leases in general. All right, so that's those are the features of that you should be look out for in the facility management system. So what's the return on investment on implementing on automating your facility management process? Number one, it's most times will give you back close to 10 to 200% times what you invested in, depending on the size of your operation and how bad your operation is at the moment, right? And you can have cost savings in terms of time savings, in terms of operational savings, in terms of maintenance cost savings, and a whole lot of things. So it improves the visibility of the operation from like 0 to like 95% or 100%. So you know what is happening. You can generate reports easily and take care of this. Then you can also reduce your maintenance costs for up to 25 to 30%. You can reduce unplanned downtime by 70 to 75%, and you can increase building and asset utilization by 20 to 25%. This is not coming from me. This is based on stuff that has been done from organizations that have implemented facility management solution in the past. This is the outcome that they got from it. All right, so this is the end of another session. You can ask me questions or concerns or anything that or clarification or anything before we go into like a mini demo. We should not take more than 5 minutes now because of time. Any question, any addition, any comments for now?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Okay, please go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, sorry. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, madam.
Yes, sir. Please, for the lease management, is there any software? Is there any software for it?
Yeah, there are software for lease management out there. Instantile is one of them. That's our own product. So it can also help you with lease management in addition to facilities management.
Okay. So can you just briefly
out there for lease management? There are different solutions out there for lease management. So a simple Google could even help you get some solution. One product out there.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. My name is Francis.
Okay.
So I want to ask the app that we are talking about. So if I'm supposed to make a request that is an RFQ, does it mean that the vendors too needs to have that app to submit the request? They are supposed to have the same app on their own site. their
Yeah,
own
there are
system?
different implementation of it. The ones we have on Instanta is pretty simple. When someone submits when you create an like a RFQ that goes to a vendor on Instanta, there is a link that will be that will accompany that request, right? So that link is the vendor just clicks on that link and it will open the RFQ.
Then
They
it
don't
can
even have to
download.
log in. It will and they don't have to download. They just open it and see the RFQ and they can just input their pricing. So it's like a table. It shows you that we want you to provide pricing for these items or for these services. And in front of you, they'll put in you can put in your cost for
Okay.
providing that service. So
Okay.
it's pretty simple.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. You're welcome. Any other question, please?
Okay, I have a comment to make because I've been privileged to be involved in the procurement process in my organization, almost every aspect of the process. And lately, I've been doing both commercial evaluation and technical evaluation for vendors. And part of the challenge I've noticed, and I see a possibility or a solution from this software, is that most of the vendors in sending their proposals after they receive the quote, they don't follow the technical and commercial criteria as highlighted. Sometimes certain information that we require, they are not able to provide. So at the back of my head, I'm saying if we have this like a link, and all they need to do is to fill the details, then they can be able to match the format, and it makes it easy for you to do your evaluation.
Absolutely.
Because you can just easily do apple for apple.
Yeah.
You can do your comparison and analysis. So I think that's a good one for such an app.
Okay. Thank you very much for that comment. So for most organizations, they have these problems too. Even very large organizations, they will tell you that you are talking about apple for apple comparison instead of apple for orange. So, for example, the cost of the pricing for a particular vendor may be cheaper than that of another vendor, but they may be quoting for totally different things, using different materials and or for different in the sizes or something. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I do.
So it's actually a problem. So what most organization does is that they would have done like so automation helps with this. They would have done like their own assessment to know exactly what they want, right? Or they would have sent some vendors, or even if they don't have a technical person in house, they could send the vendors first to go do their assessment and give them like a list of the service or items or the deliverables, right? So what they just do is to compare all these deliverables. Now cost is not involved yet. They compare all these deliverables and come out with a standard list of the deliverable or I'm struggling to use the right word here. The bill of quantity. Let me put it that way. BOQ. Yeah. So they come up with a standard BOQ, and they put that inside in an automated system, right? And send it to all the vendors. So all the vendors will have to quote for same thing, and with that you can easily do your comparison when it comes to pricing. So automation really helps with this, like you already noted. Sorry, any other question? Any other question, addition, clarification, anything? Okay, so can you still hear me, please?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, great.
Hello,
So
sir.
let's just go straight to
Yes, sir.
please go ahead.
I'm coming late. Yeah. My question is, that software now, like how many users can use it at a go? Like if I can see it has a facility function, procurement function, and also visitors management. Like if I have a staff in facility, one in procurement, one in reception, can they use simultaneously, and one would not get information from the other end?
Okay, so let me talk in general now before I now become specific with respect to our own product. in general, there are different models for different applications, right? So it's also important for you to understand their model when it comes to billing, right? For some application, they are one-off. You just pay one-off fee and you don't have to pay any other fee again. But I won't advise you to go for those products because that means that the application can become stale and you won't get upgrades and everything. And things change in technology so fast that what you're using today may become irrelevant tomorrow. Right? So it's better you go for a system where it's like a solution-based system or an annual license-based system where you are sure of getting updates every time. Then the common stuff there is most in facility management. I think the common pricing model is per user billing. So basically, you are billed based on the number of users that you actually have, right? And by user billing also differs. So for some, they bill based on concurrent users. I don't want to bore you with the technical details, but concurrent users means that you have a limited number of users you can create users for everybody in the organization, but only a specific number of users can log in at the same time. So I know there are some applications like that. If you buy for 10 concurrent users, that means out of the maybe 50 users you have in the organization, only 10 of them can log in at the same time. That's concurrent users. It has its own limitation and its own benefits too. There are some too that charge based on the number of people that can actually log into the application, and you have to pay for everybody that logs into the application, apart from maybe requesters, right? The way we charge on Instanta is that we charge only for the core users. So core users are people that are in charge of, let's say, facility management, the facility managers, the procurement managers, the maybe one account person, the inventory, the store manager, those people that use the application for their day-to-day activities. Those are the people that we are going to pay for. They are the licensed user. Every other user can be created within the system, but they are actually free users. So people that does approvals, that comments, that raise requests, and do all those things are actually free users. So you can have unlimited number of them, as many as possible. So that's how billing actually works. So to answer your question, you can have unlimited number of users. But it depends. It also affects your cost, basically. Does that answer your question, Taufik?
Yes, you answered. What another question is, like now, somebody that is using from facility and somebody that is using for procurement, can they see their information, or it can be
It can be
restricted to
restricted.
both
It can be
parties?
restricted.
Both the parties?
Generally,
Okay.
if a facility management software is not role based, that means you can say this is a facility manager, this is a procurement manager, this is an inventory manager, and they don't see each other's activities, as in each other's modules. They can exchange information and data, but they have restricted access to what they can view in the system based on their role. Then it's actually a bad system. So
Okay.
generally, you should look out for a system that has restricted roles or access based on the roles that the person, or the function of that person within the system, or based on the location that the person manages, or based on the department that that person belongs to, or the category of jobs you want them to have access to. So there are different ways
Okay.
to access.
Yes, I believe Instanta has those functions as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's how it's built. And everything I've
Thank
talked
you.
about here is on Instanta. All right, so let's round up this by just showing you the interface of Instanta. I won't be able to show you the mobile app, but there's a mobile app in here. I didn't prepare for that, but there's a mobile functionality, and you can even see, you can download the mobile app and just scan it to, if you have a deployment for your organization, you can just scan the mobile app, and it will automatically, you scan this barcode that is shown in your own deployment, and it automatically give you access to your deployment for your organization, and you can just do a lot of things from the mobile app. So, but this is the web interface, and you should have your company logo somewhere here, and people can even submit requests from here. You can click here and submit maintenance request. Oh, you can see our screen. Oh, sorry. Let me share my screen again. Okay, so this is the screen here, and so you can request for, there's so you can see my screen now, right?
Yes,
Yes.
I can see the screen.
All right. So
Yes,
this is the
sir.
web
Yes, sir.
this is the web interface available over the internet,
Yes.
right? So basically, the way it works is that for to access the mobile app, you just go to there's an instruction here. You download it from the Play Store. Would have sent you the link. You just download it, then you just scan this your QR code for your own deployment. It links you directly to your organization's deployment, right? And you can have access to the mobile app to do a lot of things. Then people can submit maintenance requests directly from here, right? So they can your staff can without even logging in, they can submit maintenance requests directly to you, and everything is documented in the system. You can have like a central your organization logo can appear here instead of this CSF logo here. Then you can log into the system using your username and password. So I'm logging in with a demo account. Okay, so you can see when you log in, you see lots of stats and things that are happening. So you can see jobs that are assigned to you, escalated to you. You can see pending preventive maintenances, that are pending your actions. Like if you click here, you should see the preventive maintenance. For example, this is a preventive maintenance that is actually due and awaiting your action. You can see work requests, current work requests, work orders that are based on the status, also the pending payment requisitions, vendor payments that needs to be made. You can see work order based on category, so you will know that you generate more, you have more open electrical work orders than EG than generator, for example. So you can see all those things. So you know how to properly allocate your resources and where there are bottlenecks, basically. Age analysis of open work orders to see the work orders that are currently opened, how long has they be opened for. So the ones that are 3 months older, like 80, and you can see it's like 80%, it's 7% of the job. So this is like age analysis of your work order. You can see SLA compliance. So the more green part you have, the better, right? The red part are jobs that are closed up outside the SLA. So you can see SLA compliance in percentage like this. The month of December 2020 is like 50% SLA compliance, which means that 50% of the jobs that were created that particular month were closed within SLA, while the other 50% were closed outside SLA. You can see your work order based on jobs. So this is a very dynamic graph, for example. So for some clients like work order, the green part represents margins or cost savings within the organization, or margin that they are making from their clients, for those that put in margin in their clients. And for some organization, we can also switch it around to represent your budget and the expenses that you've actually taken in your budget, basically. So it's a very dynamic, but this represents your cost, basically, the expenses from 1 month to another month. Then you have the work order ratings in here, right? So these are unrated jobs, and these are jobs that are 70 of those jobs are rated excellently, one awful, poor, good, fair. Then we have the repeated jobs. Then we have the repeated work order. So here you can see the percentage of your jobs that were actually repeated, basically. So this is what this analytics actually represents. Then you can see work request. So let me do a quick analysis of a work request for you. So I can search using this work request interface, and I'm searching for work request 567. So you can see all requests that are coming into the system. This is a sample request that came into the system that has been worked on, and you can see different things. So these details of the request, the date it was submitted, and the status, which means closed. That means it has been completed. You can see the category of the job. You can see the requester's details in here. Then you can also see the location where this job is to be performed. You can see the details of those who approved the job, right? Before a work order is created for it. And you can see if there's any comment, you have it in here, any quotation. So here is where you do your RFQ. So here, it's like a quote for two ACs, right? And these are the vendors that were selected to provide quotation, and these were their quotations. So each of them quoted, and you can see the one with a green line is the one that was selected, the preferred vendor. right? So you can see the estimated total and the negotiated amount, the final negotiated amount in here. So, and you can see the breakdown of each of the vendors, what they quoted for. So the first vendor, you can see their breakdown. The second vendor, you can see the breakdown in here. And you are not the one that typed this thing in. They are the vendors provided this themselves. Though you have interface to type it in yourself, but most times it's better to allow the vendors to do this themselves, right? And this guy was made the preferred vendor, right? This guy here was made the preferred vendor. That's why you have a check in front of his name. Why you don't have it for this other person? Any file attachment can appear. So when people send you a request, if they're using their mobile phone, they can take a picture of that particular request and also attach it. This it will appear in the file attachment in here. And you can see history of what happened, who created, those who approved, what time they approved, and every information with respect to a particular work request. And the work request is linked to a work order. So when a work request has been approved, a work order is created. So this is a typical work order that was created for this. And you can see the work order details, which is similar to what you have on the work request. And you can see the resources, which is the vendor that was assigned to the job, which is the one that you actually chose as the preferred vendor. And you can see the items and the costing here. So this is where you can see all your costing for jobs. And payment requisition that went to account for payment. So this is the requisition that was automatically created and sent to account for them to make payment for this vendor when the job was completed. And you can see follow-ups that were created, and all those things in there. So basically, and the rating. So this was rated 3 star when it was completed by the end user. Right. So and so basically that is it. If you go to here, you see the list of work orders. You can switch this view to like a table view to see more information on this. And let me go back to the listing view. You can pick a work order, and you can also download like a work order document. By clicking on this button, you can download your job or your work order document, or even your job completion form can be downloaded from there. So there are lots of features in here. I'm just doing a quick walkthrough of it. You can see all your pending preventive maintenances, right? You can see your payment requisitions that went to account for payments, all the payments for vendors that are still open in the system. You can see them. So accounts will be using this to track payments to know what needs to be paid and what jobs that are completed that needs to be paid for. They can use this to track all those things. This is your facilities, and you can see the structures of your facility. So this is a facility. You can break down the facility into, let me pick a particular facility. So you can have buildings, and you can have, so we have facility building and apartments, but you can rename them as anything you want in your own deployment. So I don't know if this one's, I'm trying to see if there's anyone that has, okay, so you can see this is a facility, this is a building in the facility, and you can see the apartments in those, the locations within that particular building. So you have 3 levels, nomenclature in here, and you can use this as you like, as in you can configure yours as you like, name it as you like. Could be it could be the branch, the building, and the location. You can name it anything you like. Then we have the pending PPMs. Like this, where you configure your preventive routine maintenance. So I can search for HVAC in here. So you can see HVAC, and I can pick any of these HVAC. So you can see this is done every 1 year, right? This is a test system. It's done every 1 year. And you can see notify me 2 weeks before the due date. And then send reminder every 48 hours after this first reminder. Then you can see, you can add this to an assets category. You can attach all your facilities to it, all the facilities that this is going to be done on. And the items, you can even put in the items and all the information related to the preventive maintenances. You can send bulk notification to people in the system, like bulk alerts, bulk emails, bulk SMS. You can use it to send it to. This is especially useful for residential facilities. Or facility budget, this is where you configure your facility budget, and you can have your budget performance this thing. So this is where you can configure your budget, and you can even put in what the budget is meant to do, which category of job or location, and you can also have the controls. So is it when you exceed a particular percentage of this budget, what should happen? Should notification go out to someone, or should approval be required from some people for you to spend further money on this job category? So this is your budget, and you can see the budget performance um, in here in percentages and the rest. Then visitors pass. So this is the visitors management module, where you can see all your visitors the visitors pass that has been created, the name of the visitors, and the date they are going to come in, and all the information with respect to it. And so when the visitors gets to the gate, they can present this pass, which can also be in form of a QR code that they can scan at the gate via a mobile app for them to gain access. You have your asset registers in here. So basically, you can see the list of all your assets you have. I can pick a particular asset, like this particular AC, open it up, and you can even see the maintenance history of that AC in here, and the amount of money you spent on the AC. You can see the useful life of the AC, how many years it has actually used, and the current value of the AC, right? And the accumulated depreciation. So you can see a lot of things, and you can also see metrics like first deployment date, first failure date, um, the MTBF, and some other technical stuff in terms of performance of that particular asset. Then the movement history of the AC, if it was deployed or was moved from one location to another location, you can see it in here. Right. So this is like the asset register. Inventory, same thing. It has your consumables, e.g. bulbs that you have in store. I can pick this bulb, for example. I have 2 of it in store. You can even see the reorder levels and see a whole lot of things around it. Transactions, the movement history. So let me pick another one for this. So if you go straight to transactions, this is how the bulbs were procured and how they are leaving the warehouse. You can see all of them in here. So basically, it contains, these bulbs is a store, and you can see the order level here, which is 50. So when it gets to lower than 50 in store, you receive a notification for it. Item movement is where you can track movement of item from one warehouse to another warehouse, from one site to another site, and all those things. You can even create like a transfer form you can use to transfer an item from one location to another location, and this goes for approval. Item request is for requesting for an item from the store. You can use this for that. Purchase order. So this is the procurement management system. So you can see all your purchase orders, all your good receipt notes, the payments that are made for those purchase orders in here. I don't want to go into the details of those, but you can just click and see a typical purchase order in here, and the item that you are procuring, right? So you can see them in here. And for the person that I mentioned lease, this is your lease module. You can see the leases, and so I'm not sure. So you can see your leases and the expiry date of those leases. All those information should appear in here. So I just did a very quick walkthrough of the application. If you want to generate a report, if you come to work order, for example, if you want to search for any information, you can just search for based on, just type anything here to search. If I want to search for electrical works, I can just type electrical. So it will just show only electrical works. You can see them in here, right? If I want to search for a particular number, I can just type 567 to give me that particular work order number. If I want to search using a particular location, I can just search, I can pick the location. Any location is not coming to my head now, but I can just say AMF. Let's see if there's anything. So you can see it will filter based on that. Then you can also do more structured filtering, let me clear this. More structured filtering based on, you can filter based on location. I want to see all the work order for a particular location. You can pick the location, or for a particular asset category. You can mix different filters in here, and it will filter for you. And you can download this thing in, you can download these things out in Excel or PDF. This list out in Excel PDF. You can export it out in Excel or PDF. So basically, this is a quick run through of the application for you. If you have any question, please you can ask me. So you can see export of in PDF and some other things. So basically, all right. So please, if you have any question, you can ask me now, because this is the end of the class.
Hello.
Sorry, I had to be really fast so that because of time.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay. First of all, I think the first thing I'll have to ask you is for you to drop your your contact with us with Barakat so that you can share it. It appears that after this class, there's going to be some level of consulting you do for us because we'll have to be reaching you out one after the, in due time.
Okay.
Now, secondly, with regards to this app which you've demonstrated, this app, have you suited it only for instance, facility management company, or for instance, if I work in an organization where we have different departments, and I'm in a maintenance department, and I want to use this particular app, how am I going to deploy it? First of all, across, for instance, the cluster of buildings I have. And secondly, is it going to be something that I have to share within the whole of the department, especially for accounts, so that we can be working relatively to be able to match or to track the cost, the budget, and all those things you're talking about now. And then even when I deploy it to all of my buildings, all of the buildings under my cluster, the technicians that are working with me, are they also going to be having these apps to work with, so that we can be sharing this data across each other, or how are we going to do it? Basically, I want you to help me run through how to deploy this to to a cluster, to a person managing multi-location, and how it's going to interface between his department in the maintenance or facility and all other departments, for instance, procurement, sale, all those people that can interface with us to manage the facility. How do we do that?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Let me try and do justice to it. So, number one, the guys, the people in Max-Migold already have my contact, and they can share it with you guys. Then, in terms of is it built for only facility management organizations, or for even people that have that their core job is not facility management, but they have departments for maintenances and the rest?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
so basically, it's deployed for both, as in it's built for both. We have clients in energy sector, even financial institutions that are using this, most, and even corporate management organizations too. So it works across board. In terms of the deployment, basically you can deploy it. If you have multi-location, because it's a cloud-based application, so you can access it across all locations. So people in different locations can have access to it and still submit requests to the same system, and you have access to all the information, right, in a single repository or a single interface. Then, in terms of your technicians, so there are two things. The thing is, we are going to have a mobile app for technicians, right, at the end of the day, but because we are not prioritizing it then, because most of the technicians that are in Nigeria are not that IT savvy. Most of them are not even that educated, right? So it's like you're building something for people that won't be able to use it. So, but what we did instead was to make sure that the system is able to send notifications to technicians. So when you assign jobs to technicians, the technicians receive SMS notifications, and you can also communicate with them in the system via SMS and all those means. That seems to work at that point. But now with our mobile app for the facility managers, we're going to also adapt it for the technicians, for them to actually communicate and say, I've completed this job and this job is done, instead of having to make phone calls. So that is something we're going to be coming up with pretty soon. In terms of general deployment, I don't know. It's actually flexible. When deployment is flexible, you can deploy this across multiple departments. So if you want to, because there are different modules that can stand on their own. The work management module is the maintenance module, right? So you can deploy the maintenance module and still add inventory module, which can be used by your store people. You can have the procurement module that's going to be used by your procurement guys, and everybody can work together within the same system. And accounting module too, requisition can go to accounting department, and they can also use the application to track their payments, right? So it's all depends on your use case within the organization. And some organization will just tell you, we're only deploying the work management, which is the maintenance management part, right? Every other thing has to be now with integration with other systems that we currently have, within the organization. So it all depends on you, basically, and how your organization is structured.
So basically, if I intend to use your app, what first I need to do is to call you in. You do an assessment of all of the facility or property or services that I offer. Then you're able to tailor it strictly to to my facilities and to how many of them I want to link it to and to whoever is going to use it before we're able to now put it to operation.
It's not really what we need is not even that difficult. Basically, we just need to know which modules are you going to be using in the system. Is it just the maintenance you want to use it for? Do you keep stores or inventory? Is it under the facility management department, or do you have a separate department for it? If it's under a separate department, are they also interested in using this application to manage that inventory, or they already have another system? What about your procurement team? Are they integrated into the facility management department, or are they a separate department? If they are a separate department, do they have a procurement system already in place, or are they manual? Would they be interested in also using the same system? If yes, we'll bring all of them in. What about your accounting department? Do they have an accounting system? Yes. So if they have an accounting system, is it possible to integrate directly with the accounting system? So when you create a vendor payment from Instanta, will it automatically integrate, push that payment into the accounting system? Or do you just want the application to send an email to them that you need to pay this vendor? Or do you want them to have an interface in this system to just come and see jobs that are awaiting payments, and they can just go ahead and process it and tell you that they make the payment? We just ask these questions, and this whole analysis or they are talking about may not take more than, it can be done virtually. We just ask you some questions, you answer those questions, and with that, we know which department to bring in terms of the demonstration of this application, the presentation and everything, so that we can get the buy-in from all of them to deploy. So it's not really a big assessment per se, where we have to come in and walk through your facilities. We can also do that, just for us to familiarize ourselves, but it's not really necessary. Like, it's not a big deal. The things we need are just basic bits on how your organization is structured, basically.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sir. I think there are some people that want to ask question here. Mr. Chris, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, good evening, sir.
Yeah,
Please,
good
I
evening.
want to know what is the difference between this Instanta and SAP?
Oh, okay. Did you join us late? Because I actually mentioned this initially. So for some organizations that are into for some organizations that have deployed ERPs, right? Especially large organizations, big organizations that have deployed the ERPs. ERPs are deployed with the premise that that they can do everything for you. That when you buy this one, you don't have to buy another software again in the organization, but it's actually a lie. You still have to buy lots of other software, right, within the organization. So this application is a core physical assets management application, right? Whereas your ERPs are basically for their enterprise resource planning. Their main core is accounting, procurement, and some other things within the organization, right? So at the end of the day, this application is not a replacement for SAP, right? So this application actually works in organizations that already have SAPs integrated. So we just deploy this application for facility or fleet management or for physical asset management, and it can integrate directly with the SAP. And it's going to be used. It's actually built for the maintenance department or for the facility management department or fleet management department in this organization. So at the end of the day, SAP is an ERP. It's an enterprise resource planning application that big organizations use. It has lots of modules like accounting, procurement, production, and some other things. So they are not replacement for each other. I can mention like up to 3 clients that have ERPs, like SAP in-house, and they still have Instanta deployed. And Instanta have its role to play, SAP has its role to play. But in some organizations, they would have customized the ERPs to also do physical asset tracking, which most times the facility management or fleet management organizations are not really happy with. But the organization can also force them to use it. And of course, that affects their productivity. So if you have your way, always insist on you deploying a separate facility fleet maintenance admin application away from your ERP. But just make sure that they can integrate with your ERPs or your SAP or your Sage and some other ERPs. I hope this answers your question, Mr. Chris.
It's okay. Thank you.
All right. So, Mr. Awe, please can you unmute and ask your question?
Okay, thank you, sir. Thanks for the lecture. Here, my 2 questions are: so can your instance relate with Oracle? That's what the application of our financial department are used to. Can they relate with you in terms of the financial, the payment rate and other things,
Absolutely.
other financial?
Absolutely, with APIs. So it has APIs that can actually exchange information. So these days, any application can talk to any application so long both of them can exchange APIs. So they exchange information via APIs. So since we have API, our application has APIs that can be used to exchange information. And Oracle, of course, I know Oracle has API. So the answer is yes. They can always talk to each other. Not
Then
just
number
Oracle.
two is you didn't show us
Right.
the visitors management functions.
I actually showed you, but it was pretty fast. So basically, there's nothing really much in there. So basically, this is the visitors management. It's you can only show it better in the real environment. So the way it works is that if I'm expecting a visitor, right? I come here, click on new, and create a visitors pass. I can also create this from a mobile app. I fill this form, So when I fill this form, automatically it contains my visitors information. You can see visitors name, email address, and phone number. And I submit this. The visitors will automatically get a notification via email and SMS to let him know that to see the visitors.
You already been given a pass.
Yes. So when he now gets to the gates, on the day of his visit, he just present that pass. In some organizations, they can have like instead of a mobile app for the security guys, they can have like a tablet that is hanged somewhere at the entrance. So I can just scan my gate pass. It can have a QR code that I can just scan, and it authorizes me to the environment. And you that you created the visitors pass will receive a notification that your visitor is around. So that's how it works. It's pretty simple and straightforward.
Okay. Then the third one is you already said it earlier that the procurement, like three departments can work on it at the same time, depending on the kind of purchase you made.
Yeah.
I just want to get that clear.
Yeah. So it depends. If you
Also, you sound like Mr. Paul.
I sound like Mr. Paul.
The voice, yeah, the voice is
Mr. Paul is
just like Mr. Paul's voice is older.
Yeah, Mr. Paul is more posh than me. Oh. Me, I'm a local man.
Okay.
Is Mr. Paul on this call? I doubt. I can see his. Okay, all right. Okay. Which other? Any other question, please? Mrs. Vianana, or I don't know if it's a Mrs. or Mr. Please.
Mr. Vianana.
Vianana, yeah.
All right. Okay. So I'm very much interested in this FM software, but part of the challenge I have is how to an enterprise resource software which is implemented company-wide. Although, like you rightly said, it's not really tailored for most of the operations, FM operations. Because part of the concern of management is what is the justification for Rosnab to invest, having invested in an enterprise software. And I know issues like security, because probably since this is something that will be installed, maybe you will manage. I don't know how it operates. Are you going to install for us, or are you
We
going to
have
manage
both
it?
options.
And
You can install it internally, and you can install it externally. As in, we can deploy for you in our own interface, in our own cloud platform, or you can also deploy it in your own cloud platform or internally within your own organization. We deploy for a bank, and they deployed it in their own internal server in-house.
Okay. So you have those options.
Yes.
Then
Well,
what about security? I know that
if you
would be
deploy
key.
in-house, then the security of your data is in your own hands at that point. You get what I'm trying to say? That means you're going to be the one that will house the data and all this and
All right,
putting
thank
all
you.
the stuff in place. And your first question with respect to justification to management, we can work with you on that. We can work with you on that. We can just do like an assessment of your current situations and come up with justification on why, on things that are not working on, or possible points of improvement that this can really help, and use that to prepare like a justification document that you can now use to do like a justification to the management. And things like cost savings can come into place, time savings, and a lot of things. For us to also, or you can also bring your management into, if possible, into the presentation where we can do all this presentation, and we may be able to justify the need in that kind of presentation. But if that's not possible, we can empower you with all the things you need to be able to, based on your own current situation, right, to create a justification for this kind of product.
All right, thank you so much. We'll keep in touch.
All right. Okay. Then another thing, Mr. Vianana, what we also do that some people also do is that they can ask us to start from their management, top management directly. So we can, instead of, if you know it's going to be very difficult for you to justify this to your management, you can as well just direct us, maybe anonymously, to your top management, to your decision maker, and we just go directly to that person, and we'll just, based on the information you would have empowered us with in terms of the justification of this product and how it can be useful to your organization, we just go straight to that person and do like a proposal to that person directly, and hopefully they can now pass that across to you, right? Which of course you already have the management involved in this whole process from the start. So instead of bottom up, you can actually do top down approach, which is always more effective. That's another approach you can actually look at,
Right.
which
Okay.
is very.
Thank you. Just to add, ask, is it possible to also use this for fleet management?
Absolutely, absolutely. I didn't touch fleet management. There's a separate product also for fleet management. And in a workplace like yours, you just need to add your fleet managers, and they're going to have that module deployed for them.
All right.
So things like vehicle tracking, you can have vehicle tracking, you can have fleet maintenance, and everything that comes with fleet management, fueling, document renewal, everything that you do on fleet management. We have a separate module for that. I didn't show it here because of time, and because it's basically for facilities management. So, but we have a separate module for fleet management. If you even go online and search Instant Fleet, you will see all this stuff.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I can drop the link in here. Mr. Francis, please, can you go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah, thank you, sir. I want to ask, will it make sense in terms of costs for somebody that is managing a residential estate of like maybe 10 to 20 units of apartments to deploy this kind of application, probably in modules wise or generally? Do you think it makes sense from experience? Have you seen any residential area using it?
For 10 apartments, you are saying someone that manages like 10 apartments?
Between 10 to 20 apartments.
So,
hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
So to answer your question, it depends on the problem you're having in that facility. For example, and the kind of experience you want to give your users. So it depends on your motivation. For example, if you are managing 10 facilities and it says part rates, 10 locations, 10 apartments, and you have expatriates in those locations, in those apartments, living in those apartments, you may want to offer an experience that is top notch, right? So, e.g., you may want to give coming to see them to help the brand and also to offer that kind of experience. That's a good justification for deploying it, right? But if you are you can also, if you're also having issues controlling your vendors, your technician, and some other people that works within that particular facility, and you want to be able to communicate better with them and everything, that may be another justification. Your size of location, if you're also content using Excel document because you have only one facility manager, or you are the facility manager and you are everything in the organization, and you have like maybe 3 technicians, and you can maybe pick up the phone and call them, and there's no huge jobs coming in, right? You may be contented with just using. It all depends on your own peculiar situation. Let me put it that way. So the answer is neither yes, no. It depends. It depends.
So I believe basically money. That's what you're trying to say, because of course,
Yeah,
even if it's
yes,
just one apartment
because
and the person is willing to spend the money.
yes, and you can justify spending that money, right? Then it's fine.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I understand. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Uh, Mr. Imem Ekon, you can ask your question, please.
Okay, good evening.
Oh, Mrs. Sorry about
Yes.
that.
Okay, so my question is, this this app, this application, it works for only the management of your facilities. Does it work for your customers? Maybe they have like complaints, you just send it in
Yeah.
and you get it automatically.
Yes.
Does it work that way?
Yes, it works that way. You can even make mobile apps available to your customers, branded in your own name, right? If you want that, they can submit requests, or they can just have like a web interface. Go to your website. You can integrate your website to the application, but you can just go to your website and submit the request. So it all depends on how you want them to interact with you.
Okay, because my customers are residents. So instead of calling for them,
Yeah, it will work. We have lots of clients using it this way. So you just give them, like I said, you can give them a mobile app, or you can also give them like if you don't want to spend money on deploying mobile app, you can just give them like a URL, a web URL. They click on it and gives them a form that they can submit their request.
then when they do that, it just appears on my app.
Yeah, it drops on your own application, and you see the request and you can attend to it. And at every stages that you are doing something on the job, they can also receive feedback automatically from the system.
Okay. That's good.
You're
All right,
welcome.
thank you, sir.
Mr. Francis, do you still have any other question, Mr. Francis? Your hand
No,
is
sir.
your hand is raised.
Thank you.
Okay,
I
all right.
just
I think we've
know
taken all the questions. All right. So I think we've taken all the question, and I just shared the link to the website, Instant App page directly. So you can click there, you see all our products, both facility inventory, procurement, fleet management, telematics, and everything. So that we offer, and you can just go there and you can just check for yourself and see what we have to offer. Then we have the my contact is with the host, so he can make it available to you all. Host,
I've shared
please,
it
can
on the group
you?
chat already.
All right, thank you very much. So you can give us a call, and we can schedule like a demo session or a meeting with you, and just discuss about, no pressure, nothing. We don't we just have like a discussion on what you do currently, and look at the justification on how this can actually work for you basically, and you can do the rest. All right, so I think that should be all. In the absence of any question, we have to bring this to a close now. It was nice meeting you, wiser than when you used to
You
attend.
haven't seen
You
ticket,
say what?
you haven't seen the link yet. Okay, yes, I've seen.
Yeah, you can see the link. So I want to believe you are more equipped now in terms of why you need technology and the justification for it, and the future you should be looking out for and everything. And you are also better for it in your day-to-day activities. So I hope this session today was you gained one or two things from this, right? So, Thank you
Yes,
very much,
thank you. Thank you.
everyone.
Alright.
So,
Thank you. See you.
okay.
Don't late.
All right, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Okay, over to you, the host. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. We appreciate your efforts.
And apologies again for the lateness,
No
please.
problem.
It's unusual.
Bye,
Thank you.
sir.
Bye.
Thank you.